you can definitely notice a lot of things have been changing with Pokemon as a whole. You can realize that the games actually look good, which equals a better game in most scenarios. So everything that is going with the Pokemon Company, it really seems like they're actually listening to the fans, the players, and people who are going to buy their games. And that honestly indicates for a better future for Pokemon. There's definitely a lot to talk about within older games returning and so much more. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video. So now, of course, the number one thing that you can say they're listening to us about is in fact Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves. Now these games honestly look really good, and it shows how much time, love, and effort they've been putting into these games. It seems like you will have all of those things that you've always wanted from a Pokemon game. One of the things for me is to not have potato looking trees. Now this has definitely been a complaint for the longest time. You don't want to see your trees that look like potatoes or mashed potatoes and your walls that look like a coconut. But instead, with actual clear details, visual upgrades, and clarity across. This is definitely a really great thing. It also seems like the game is going to be something that you look and you really wanted. May this be from the anime or from your straight up dreams. But overall, I think that this is really good. One of the main things that I had complaints about in Scarlet Violet is it was kind of wonky and gimmicky and it didn't feel super smooth. It felt like the Pokemon would like snap together and there you go, you would have a battle like that. But overall, it finally seems like they're listening to us. And this makes you wonder, are they also going to listen to us about the double battling style? Like if you wanted to, you can have the Legend ZA sort of battling, or if you wanted to, you can just have the turn-based battle. These are all great questions, as it seems like the future of Pokemon could actually be into that direction. But speaking on the future and speaking on them listening to us, Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green have finally made it to the Nintendo Switch. Now this is something that you probably wouldn't necessarily have thought that Pokemon would actually do, because it's been such a long time since these games released, and maybe they were just going to be like, well, we're going to be making something else. But no, they're actually here and they're fully playable to their original state. Sort of. You will not be able to name your Pokemon trainer, your friend, or your rival Poopy Butthead if you wanted to. You can't do that. That doesn't work. But besides that, they're at their original state. So it makes you wonder, are we going to be seeing the older games? I think yes. I think the answer is yes. We're probably going to be seeing all the older games at some point. They're just going to be releasing these games for now, see how everyone likes them, see how many sales they can get. But afterwards, we're probably going to be seeing all the original games once again. And that would be fantastic in so many different ways, because I can't tell you how much the original Pokemon games actually means to me. I really love the original Pokemon games. Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver is personally my favorite. But when it comes to DS Pokemon games, those are definitely really interesting. Recently, or should we say about a year ago, Nintendo has filed a patent that was a dual screen. So it seems like maybe Pokemon might actually wait until this actually becomes a reality so they don't have to change much about the game. But overall, I find this really great to see and to hear that Pokemon is actually using their ears for once, and you don't listen to us or doing some DJ Pikachu stuff. But overall, that's not the only thing that they've been listening to us about, but in fact, Pokemon Pootopia. Now, Pookopia might not look like a big Pokemon game at face value, but really when you dive deep into it, this is going to be a massive game. There's going to be so many different regions, islands, Pokemon to collect, and honestly it seems like they've actually put the time into this. This could actually be the biggest spin-off Pokemon game that we've ever seen. Not even Pokemon Mystery Dungeons or even Pokemon Quest or your other Pokemon spin-off games will be able to catch up to this one. This one seems like it truly will be a big one. The only thing that's a bit of a bummer is that this is going to be on a game keycard. If you don't like game keycards, well, that unfortunately sucks. I don't like game keycards, to be honest, but I guess it's better than digital games. But also, I think that this is definitely a really great thing. The game honestly is like what we wanted. Look, you can have all of the original Pokemon music by just collecting discs or crafting discs inside of the game. So you can sit there and start vibing out to some Route 1 music, if you know what I mean. But overall, this is great. And now moving over to Pokemon Champions. This is another thing that is definitely really interesting. You have the option to probably buy Pokemon because it seems like there's going to be a battle pass, which kind of sucks and might be counterintuitive to this entire video, but at the same time, you can just take Pokemon from other games and just put them into this one. The battle pass system might just be for Pokemon that you haven't necessarily caught in another game, or just to make it easier if you caught something in Heart Gold and Soul Silver and you don't want to grab out your DS and put it into this game, you'll probably just be able to get a battle pass for that. But overall, I think that this is really, really great and just allows you to play Pokemon in the ways that you actually want to play. And it also seems like they've been listening to us to the GameCube application. We wanted Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, and this game is coming to the NSO. Now, of course, this has been leaked or actually revealed by Nintendo originally when the Switch 2 came out, but this still shows you that, hey, we wanted this, they're giving it to us, we can play the game for our already existing subscription service. And before you say, well, they could have put the Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green on the subscription service. Technically, they couldn't, because if you were going to take the original game, put it on there, there is save states on there, so you could have easily started to shiny hunt the Pokemon and then just rinse and repeat, and then you wouldn't be able to transfer it to home if you wanted to. But if you just want to play the game, I guess that made sense in many different ways. And now finally, lastly, is something that I've been wanting for the longest time. The Pokemon TCG. This is something that I like to collect every so often, but every time you go to a GameStop or something, they're always out of stock. Or it's either just the crappy cards that you didn't necessarily want for a very, very high price. So overall, you couldn't get them. But it finally seems like for Pokemon's 30th, you will be able to pick up these cards, which is so great. Like, this is so great in so many different ways, because I want to be able to open up the cards and just have fun with that. It seems like Pokemon will actually do some more prints of these cards. So instead of scalpers just scalping everything off the shelves and then reselling it to eBay or whatever Facebook marketplace for double the price, it finally seems like Pokemon is actually going to step in, release more, because these cards are only going to be releasing in October, which leads you to believe they're probably taking all that time to release more and more sets, so then you can actually get your hands on the 30th anniversary celebration. So overall, I find this to be a really great thing. I am really excited for Pokemon Winds and Waves. This is really great. They're listening to us, and I really, really like this. We're probably going to be seeing all the original games return, or for starters, the Game Boy Advance games, because those already work pretty well. So you could probably see Pokemon Sapphire and Ruby at some point, which is going to be crazy, by the way, and Emerald later on. But overall, I really, really love this. I think that this is definitely a great thing, and this is definitely the start of something new. Everything that we've seen for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon is exciting. Is exciting to the max. I can't express how much this is exciting. This is great. Pootopia looks good. Winds and Waves looks good. Pretty much everything looks great. So anyways, consider to check out this video right here if you want to see my reaction and pretty much details on Pokemon Winds and Waves on the left. Consider to check out the video on the right if you like other things. It's a really great one, so consider to check that out. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope that you enjoyed. See you in the next one.